says we're live, so I'm going to act like we're live. Welcome to another episode of To Infinity War Beyond, True Believers. I'm Joe. And I'm obviously Mr. Blue.
Okay, I obviously am Mr. Green because I'm wearing the green shirt. Also, you missed an indefinite article when you were saying the title of our show. Grammar lesson for everybody. That was the and. Look.
So we're covering the Incredible Hulk today.
Don't make me Hulk out. You know I'm the one that will Hulk out. And I don't know if you can hear, but there's a basketball game going outside of our house.
That might be stopping shortly. We're supposed to get rain in like 5 minutes.
So if you hear just random screaming, it's the children's.
Yes, that needed explanation.
Yes, the children's.
So, welcome, true believers, as I've already said, individuals joining us. If this is your first time joining us for one of our To Infinity War and Beyond episodes, please, I did it right that time. Please click like, subscribe, join us for future ones. We have fantastic series like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies next week, and then the Avengers movies afterwards, leading up to Infinity War coming out.
And then later on, Ant-Man will come out, so that's the Beyond part. Not quite like the Bed Bath & Beyond, but you know, a different Beyond.
I don't know, man. You remember when he shrunk really small?
It's true.
Like really, really small?
So true.
That was pretty beyond.
Beyond comprehension.
Billy and Kimber are in the chat with us currently. Billy would like to know what a Hulk Ashley would look like.
Well, Hulk Ashley is not allowed to be on camera because she would say some things that are not appropriate for the YouTubes or her reputation in real life.
I'd imagine it'd be like a red She-Hulk.
I don't know. I think it's going to be green. I have witch undertones already.
Oh, fair.
So I had to be real careful wearing the green shirt and do my makeup right.
Yeah.
But yes.
So shall we go ahead and get started?
Why don't we do that?
All right. Well, I'm going to do my engineering duty. We need a guy in the chair.
We do. We don't know anyone. We're not cool enough.
The Incredible Hulk.
Yes, because there is a different movie just called Hulk that came out in 2003, so we have to distinguish them, and they are kind of related to each other.
I believe you looked up information. What was this one called? It's
a requel. So it's kind of a reboot, but kind of a sequel to the one that came out in 2003.
That's what the producers called it.
Exactly.
Or one of the producers or something.
So, like we always do, we're going to do a little bit of overview about the movie, our gripes and likes, MCU connections, Stan Lee cameos, and then that really should say after credits, because we'll get there.
Yeah, you'll see.
So, this came out on June 13th, 2008, directed by Louis Leterrier. I'm not sure how you say his name, but he is French. This was the second movie from Marvel's first phase, back before people knew that all these movies would be connected. It did open at #1 in the box office, which did surprise me. I figured out of all of the MCU movies, this one would open.
Mostly because of its positioning and what it had going against it.
Yes, I was certain it would be at #2, but it did stay at least #1 for just a little bit. Like its brethren in the Phase 1 movies, it has a $150 million budget. And it earned a paltry amount worldwide at the box office, just a little bit over $200 million.
Yep.
And you can see a big number there. I'm not good at reading the big numbers, so I just generalize.
Just shy over, or just slightly over $250 million.
Mm-hmm. Or under.
Over a quarter. Because it's 263.
Mm-hmm.
$250 million would be 250.
Okay, well, it's 200,000. Or 200 million, not billion.
I know. That's why it's $250 million.
Okay. See, I'm not good at math either, which is why I don't teach that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to stop talking about numbers because that makes me nervous. All right. So going into the gripes that we had about...
Let's get the bad out of the way, then maybe we can take a breather and calm down and unhold.
Get our heart rate lowered. All right. So one of my first gripes doesn't really have anything to do with their relationship because I thought that was fine. But the fact that Edward Norton is not the Hulk currently in the MCU, and that they never make any mention of Betty ever again.
Yeah.
If they do, maybe it's like a small...
It's like a sentence somewhere.
Like a small thing, but we never see her again.
The closest
they never recast the actor. because I'm sure Liv Tyler would probably want to do the role again. I mean, she likes being in things, I'm sure. So that's just kind of, it's these once and done actors. It's like, well, we used you and we couldn't get you back, so new people.
Instead, relationship with Black Widow.
Yeah, so I thought they were both good in their roles, but I just didn't like that we've never seen anything.
It's a thrown away character.
Anything more from her, and then the fact that they originally did want Mark Ruffalo to play the Hulk, but for whatever reason they couldn't get him, or I'm not exactly sure. And then Edward Norton and Mark Ruffalo are really good friends, so it's not like there's any ill will between them. It's just it didn't work out, and we got Ruffalo. I'm fine with Ruffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the design of the Abomination transformation bothered me with Tim Roth's character. It just looked a little weird. Not that it's like inappropriate looking, it just looked a little off to me. It didn't look quite right. Like it was like some kind of combination of like a digital effect that maybe wasn't quite rendered as well, or it didn't hold up as well because this movie is from 10 years ago. So I don't know, it kind of bothered me when he was in that transition phase.
And Billy brings up Tim Roth's weird spine. Everything about the transformation with Abomination, like they really made him look strung out when he was transforming. Like his face looked like you could see his skull underneath his skin, and it was just really weird.
Right, and then I don't know why this actor bothered me, Ty Burrell, in this role. I don't know. There's just something about the way he looks, like compared to the other characters, and it's
those eyebrows.
I don't know if it's the eyebrows. His character wasn't a bad character because you kind of have to have like the jealous boyfriend or like ex-boyfriend or whatever to have the kind of love triangle-ish that was going on between the main characters. But I don't know. It just
maybe it's because he's playing a very similar role as he did in, like, I think the second National Treasures movie.
Oh yeah, he was in the second National Treasure. Yeah,
it's kind of the same thing.
I don't know. It didn't work for me here for some reason. I don't know. He looks like he's too made up. Maybe I'm just remembering what he looks like now, but it just looks so wrong to me.
Yeah, I have and Billy brings up one of my comments on this. It's Phil Dunphy. From Modern Family.
Yes.
I know him first and foremost from I think it's Dawn of the Dead, the George Romero remake where they're in a mall and stuff. The more recent Dawn of the Dead one. Because he plays like the psychopathic, fatalistic, scumbag corp executive type, and
see, that would fit him well, despite the fact that he plays this like loving dad who is just a big dork.
Yeah, total big dork. So it's one of these weird. I love him as an actor, but he always gets like mixed signal roles for me.
Yeah, he's like, it's not like he's a bad actor. It just felt weird. Like anytime he was on screen, it's like, oh, why?
Yeah,
what's going on?
It's that dude.
And I don't remember if I noticed that the first time that we saw it, because we never saw this one in the theater. It was like, oh, we got to catch up on all those movies to watch that Avengers. We missed most of them, so it's like, oh, it's the Hulk. Okay, wait, it's a dude. It's a different dude. What?
And Tom says the only reason with the skull showing through. Yeah, no, I'm not denying that there were reasons for the way they did it. He's also the Abomination, and he's supposed to look like an abomination. But it definitely it's such a weird like combination of effects that's just off-putting, and possibly one of the best possible ways. But anyway.
And then speaking of transformations, when Mr. Blue gets some Hulk blood in his little head wound, he starts to transform into a character, the leader that they've never mentioned again. So that's why this is in the gripe section, because I feel like they're setting us up for these things that could have been so cool.
I would have loved a second Hulk movie with Leader.
And then they haven't done anything. They don't bring back the characters. It's kind of like this movie never existed in the first place. That's how I kind of feel about it, except for a character that shows up in Civil War later, which we'll talk about.
Billy says that waste was an abomination.
And then I love Tim Blake Nelson. He's so great. And the whole time we were watching the movie, we kept quoting "Oh brother, where art thou" lines, even if they were the wrong lines.
Kimmy Schmidt. And Kimmy
oh
Schmidt.
Yeah, Kimmy Schmidt.
Do not seek out the Hulk. I know it's John Turturro, but still.
Anyway, good actor. This transformation is totally fine on its own. It's just the wasted potential is why it's a gripe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is the last one. So why don't we check in with the chat? See what they're thinking of all of our thoughts so far.
Gotten some new people filtered in. TJ has joined us. Tom has joined us. Tavos Jones has joined us. Welcome. Nice. Taveos. If I'm mispronouncing that, I'm really sorry.
I do not recognize that name.
But thank you for joining us.
Yay.
Janine's here. And that looks like everyone that I can see. And there's lots of talk about little things like Phil Dunphy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Doing the looking up stuff dance.
TJ still wants Michael Pitt as an MCU villain. I need to look up who that is.
Yeah,
he's in Boardwalk Empire.
The most things I know about the Hulk is that he is green or sometimes gray, depending on which comic book you bought, and like the coloring got
There's also
wrong.
a red one.
He wears purple pants.
And there's a gray one now, too, is different.
He wears purple pants from the 1970s show, which they did make a reference to, a couple of references to in this movie. And you don't like him when he's angry. That's all I know.
Also, there's a lot of stuff with him, like getting sent to another planet. And
that too.
Really mad because he found peace. And then they ruined it.
Anyway.
So, yeah. Thank you for joining us, everyone, so far. Big Klutz photo, all the cast. William Hurt was the only one there. So.
Let's look at the things we liked. And,
yes.
Of course, this little section does not represent every itty-bitty little moment. But,
just
generalized things. So we don't want people to think that we, disliked the movie. Because we didn't. It was fine. I really love this whole Zen meditation element that that Bruce Banner is going through to try to
find any way possible.
Yeah, find a way to keep his heart rate down, because that seems to be the big trigger. Is not necessarily like it is anger, because your heart rate elevates when you're angry, but even other times when he's doing fun things, it's like, I can't let my heart get past a certain point because I will Hulk out accidentally, which is super sad for his love life in this movie.
Welcome, Cal. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. We appreciate that, Cal. Yep. We know that you had some things going on.
You had a lot going on tonight. Yeah. And Nolan's here. Thank you for joining us, Nolan.
So many people. So, yeah, this whole Zen meditation, trying to calm and center yourself. I liked that element of it.
It's definitely a nice change from the Hulk we had way back in the day, and like the TV show in the 70s, where it was just him going around trying to avoid contact, but things, but also like find other methods to help keep it under control, because you can't avoid everything forever. So.
Yeah, and another thing I liked about this movie, because of its weird limbo status of, is it a reboot? Is it a sequel? That whole situation kind of taking from what the 2003 Hulk did. They had a really cool montage of how he got his powers in the very beginning, and so I thought that was a really smart move, because since Hulk is such an iconic character, he's had, his famous TV show and the movie. So I felt that it probably would have been not a great idea to be like, let's rehash the origin story. They just kind of literally montage, opening credits, it solves all the problems. And of course they, not so similarly, but with like Spider-Man, they didn't give us like the whole origin again. This is a well-known character, so they don't really have to do that. So I thought that was pretty smart.
Tom's also saying he liked the ending because it established the always mad thing. Yeah, they kind of imply that that maybe he's a step closer to getting that, because they do the whole like Days Without Incident 31 drops back down to 0, and you assume that maybe he's about to Hulk out, but maybe it's different this time. Because he seems to, he's not mad. It's like he's forcing himself to do it in such a way that he's...
can control it eventually.
Yeah.
All right. And then I love this scene where, he's working in... I forgot exactly where, but he's in Brazil.
I think it's Brazil, yeah.
It's like a guarana bottling plant. Like
guarana soda.
Some kind of, guarana soda. And, of course, the green aesthetic. I love that. anything with a color motif is always going to grab my attention. And then he like a drop of blood accidentally like falls onto the production line, and just like the slow-mo that they do with that one droplet looks so cool, and he freaks out, has to stop the production. He thinks he found it, and then it had gotten onto one bottle unbeknownst to him and mixed in with the soda, and so now whoever drinks it, which we'll get to that later, will get the gamma radiation poisoning that he has. And so he has to be very careful about like cross contamination and all of that. And of course, him being the one American person working in this factory, there's a lot of bullies there. Yep. And so he's, trying so hard to, learn the language to be able to, function in the country and just not get mad, because this place is so stressful seeming. He
learns the language partially by watching
Sesame Street, which is actually a
valid
way to learn language. That's how a lot of kids learn. If they're from another country, they come here, they can learn English from watching Sesame Street. It's the perfect level for someone just coming in. And there's a great moment. It was like, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry, but he uses the wrong word, and so you wouldn't like me when I'm hungry. And I kind of want to look up in Portuguese, are the words that similar? Like, are they that close together like ours would be?
I also want to have that in like a Snickers commercial. I feel like that was a wasted opportunity.
That would have been so great.
Nolan brings, there's a little chat going on right now. Cal wouldn't know if we were brought up the Eric Bana Hulk. We don't plan on really, other than admitting that it existed.
Yeah, and this is definitely, because I think they actually asked him to reprise his role, and he didn't want to for whatever reason. I didn't have an opportunity to like go do a deep dive on that, but I personally have never seen that version of the Hulk except for a bad render online where like his pants get falling off, like disappearing, not really falling off. And my brother-in-law was laughing at it.
Nolan also brings up a bunch of cool villains that we're never going to get to see, and it's upsetting that we would love to see that he'd love to see a leader movie as well. And yes, I completely agree. And I was seeing when Norton looking at clothes, turns up purple shorts.
Yeah, she finds these purple stretchy shorts. Well, they were the biggest ones I could find, and he's like, I'm not wearing those. Yeah, I didn't get a grab of that, but there was also a really cool moment where like he's feeling very lost and alone, and they're playing the 1970s
an adaptation of the Hulk's the 70s Hulk theme.
Yeah, with basically whenever he was like wandering alone. This was the theme. I was like, oh, I picked that up immediately, so I got excited that I knew something for once.
Billy brings up that Edward Norton sweats a lot in this movie. Well, I mean, stress, but also like half the movie takes place in South America.
Yeah, South America. Yeah, it's pretty hot there. So yeah, here's like him getting beat up by the bullies at the Guarana plant.
Yep.
There's bullies at every workplace, I guess. I don't know. We don't have fights at my work, so.
Kimber also says, you wouldn't like me when I'm hungry as her AF.
Yeah. And then I really liked the reveal of Mr. Blue, and the fact that you immediately think like, oh, this is a nice guy, and then you see like, oh, I didn't have enough of your sample to work from, so I basically made more, which is actually, I'm sure Cal could probably speak to this, that there are scientific methods where if you have a small sample, you can replicate it so that you can do further tests. And well, let's just look at the whole case of Mr. Green's blood. All of this gamma irradiated blood that could readily, poison people and all sorts of things, that Bruce Banner is horrified that his small sample was replicated. And like, it even sees at the bottom, it's like buckets of his blood.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, that is more than a human's body's worth of blood there.
So probably. You can instantly see that while on the surface he looks like a nice, jovial person.
Yep.
I mean, just look at that. I mean, there's a reason why you cast someone like Tim Blake Nelson, because you want someone that's unassuming. You kind of assume from previous roles. He usually plays kind of a moron. The fact that he got to play a scientist is awesome, but then he has like this sinister side, but he's so charming in this like weird affable way that you just can't get like super angry with him. I don't know. It's so weird.
Let's see what else.
And then his hubris is kind of what happens, or allows for his transformation, because he's the one that helps create the abomination, and then that leads to his own transformation, and then they don't ever do anything with it. But it's kind of like a little Easter egg for all the people that know the Hulk stuff.
See, Nolan says Blonsky is one of his top 5 villains. We'll get to Blonsky in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have him in here.
And Tom brings up that he loves how this movie sets up the fall in Ragnarok. The you want to know who I am moment? Yeah. I'm not going to lie, we watched this movie to prepare for this, Saturday night?
Yes.
And then we spent all of Sunday watching other Marvel movies.
Yeah, we rewatched Doctor Strange and Civil War and Thor Ragnarok. We'll probably watch Thor Ragnarok after this. I'll probably watch it tomorrow. I love that movie so much. And then speaking of Blonsky, who becomes the Abomination, Tim Roth, another great actor.
In another time, he could have been a really good Captain Britain.
I can see that, kind of. He's really great in a show called Lie to Me, so that's what I always think of when I see him. But just the wanting to, like, the fascination that his character has with this mysterious creature. Like, he just knows that they're supposed to get Banner for whatever reason, and then like there was this like Sasquatch kind of thing. It's like, no, that was him, and then he kind of is obsessed with like, well, how can I be like just a regular man but become so powerful? I like that journey as well.
And he talks about there's one line that drives it home for me in this movie, and it's when he's talking to Ross after the first encounter with the Hulk, and he's like, he asked him how old he is, and he says, well, I'm 39, I'll be 40 next year, or I'll be 40 this year or something. He's like, but if I had everything I've learned my entire life put into the body of someone 10 years younger, the things I could do. And it's kind of, that speaks to his character, is he's looking for that way to take everything he knows and make himself just stronger, because he understands age and that the job is hard on you and all that jazz. And I really enjoyed this.
And then I thought, for the fact that it was 2008, I thought that the graphics on both Hulk and I think the next picture is of Abomination actually held up pretty well. I was surprised. I was expecting this to look terrible, like absolutely, I hate to compare it to like DC stuff, but like how Steppenwolf looked really weird and out of place. Like a lot of times this does not look out of place. I want to say that did a little bit of motion capture with this. With like a different actor on the set, not with Edward Norton doing motion capture,
which is how they do it now with Mark Ruffalo. For the scenes that aren't heavy action scenes, they have Mark Ruffalo doing the motion capture, like they had for metal guy in Deadpool, Colossus. Yeah, the guy who voices Colossus also is Colossus. He just wears a weird giant suit. Same with, was it Taika Waititi?
Yeah, as Korg. And then they put like a little picture of their character to kind of give you like the height, so the animators know what to do.
Tom brings up that it has grit, which is unlike Ang Lee's, which looks like a Macy's Day balloon. Yeah, and a lot of it is in the face. A lot of it is in Hulk's face, where he looks intense, and there's lines where there should be lines, and there's the definition going from his chest to his shoulders that looks like it has the texture of like an angry monster's skin.
Yeah, it looks like skin. And then Abomination, and of course he has like the kind of like almost reptilian spine coming out of him, and then like the sunken in features with his bone structure. But he looks very real as well, even though he looks like a complete monster. Again, it doesn't stand out in an awkward way where when you see cheap CGI or things that are rushed and things that are sometimes the same age, but they didn't have the production value, it looks really awful. This is, again, it holds up pretty well. There might be a few scenes where things look weird, but overall I was very impressed at how well the CG held up over 10 years.
Yeah, I can see that. I I look at this, and I actually think both Hulk and Abomination look kind of better than even Ultron did at some points in Age of Ultron. Not that Ultron looked bad, but I just thought this looked better.
Yeah.
Like look at the neck bone design and all that crap, and his solar plexus there, and it's really good looking.
And then he has kind of a more of a grayish tint. And I think they were in one of the little things that I read trivia wise said they were going to like nail that distinction a little more solidly in the movie to kind of make a reference to the fact that, you know, Hulk started out as gray, but then they changed him to green because of some kind of issue with the printing. And then there's that one point where like they're fighting, like the army or the special forces are trying to fight them. It's like, well, which one are we supposed to hurt? It's like the big one. It's like, well, they're both big. Yeah. Like what? Like you're gonna have to give me a little bit more detail to figure out which big gigantic creature I am supposed to annihilate.
Nolan brings up a point that he thinks that Mark Ruffalo's, he didn't think it would work as well in this one. Mark Ruffalo's take on the Hulk. That is more comedic and all that jazz. And I can't say I fully agree. He's definitely way more comedic in Ragnarok. But I don't see Mark Ruffalo's Hulk being more comedic in Avengers. In both of the Avengers movies. I remember him being more like, I really don't want to be a part of this. Just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. The only reason I'm here is because...
You need a smart scientist that's not an egomaniac.
Yeah.
Yeah, Banner is definitely not an egomaniac.
And Nolan says, to be fair, Abomination looks ridiculous in the comics, as he should.
Yeah.
I mean, his name is Abomination.
And that's why they call him, instead of saying, like, your name's Abomination, like, you will end up an abomination. So that way they can kind of ground it in a little bit more reality versus, meet Charles Abomination, who becomes Abomination, because that would just be the worst.
Or, like, have the formula be called the Abomination formula or something. Cats, stop.
Our cats are trying to Hulk out over here.
Rage.
All right, before we move on to our MCU connections.
But yeah, Ultimate Spike's joined us. Welcome. Thanks for joining us, Spike. Let's see what else.
Yeah, talking about this more is making me kind of like the movie a little more.
The thing is, I didn't dislike.
I didn't dislike it, but this is making me realize that there was a lot more cool things because I remember being.
There's some of the facts you found when we were talking about it that I was like, that's a really cool.
I was pretty dismissive, and this was definitely the one that I was like, man, do we really have to watch this? But just kind of sitting here talking about it with you and with everybody else, it's just I'm enjoying. This and seeing some cool things about it that I had been initially like, whatever. I've always liked the character of the Hulk, but just I remember this movie was it came out at a weird time. We're starting up this whole MCU thing, and it's like, well, didn't we already have that movie? Why are they redoing it? That doesn't make any sense.
You didn't like the Hulk. You're Banner's friend. That's gross.
Really? Really? But he's all about science and stuff, and just smash stuff. I like smashing things.
Welcome, Randall. Like smashing those essays you got to read.
I'm not going to smash anyone's essays. That would be disrespectful. I'm going to carefully read them.
What you are hoping for is that they're smashing.
That they're good.
You're hoping they're smashing.
I am hoping that. I always want my students' work to be good. Don't be trying to be mean.
Randall says he watched it last week, found it very enjoyable. I can agree. It's enjoyable. There is a thing I've said before. I've talked about the MCU a lot. I talk about it all the time with friends and whatever.
At work.
That school.
Yeah. I always talk about stuff at school.
And a few friends of mine, Randall has been on this conversation, but a couple other friends of mine, Ryan at the Ohio Review and Brian over at the DVD Bunker, we've talked extensively about this. It's like, even the worst of these films are still enjoyable. And it's the mentality that if there's 20 of these films, one of these has to be rated number 20.
Exactly.
And I still enjoy number 20.
Yeah.
And that's the problem is I have a hard time placing what I don't like about it and what I do like about it. And that's why I think it's kind of lower on the tier for me, but I still really enjoy it. Yeah. And I liked Edward Norton as it.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
I felt the weakest part for me was Liv Tyler, but only because I felt like they didn't know what they wanted to do with that character in the movie. and that's a shame because Betty is a big deal for the character concept and the design of the Hulk and the way it works. And it is a shame they didn't try to bring that character back. It's kind of like Jane and Thor, where like now Jane's just not a thing anymore.
At least they mentioned her though, and she was in
there's
the
only
sequel.
There's only two links to Betty in the rest of the Marvel movies, and see that's a really good segue because we're going to talk about what our MCU connections.
All right, and so speaking of Ross,
one of them,
Thunderbolt Ross, who is like I get the feeling that. Like he is the impetus of a lot of these like bad decisions that happen.
There's a few comments in the chat about
involving the Hulk.
Hulk being Ross's white whale to Ross's Moby Dick.
And I think that I saw something about that. That's how he kind of played it. The actor William Hurt himself. It was like he's like Captain Ahab, and then the Hulk is Moby Dick. So I definitely can see that. And a lot of these actors signed up to be in this movie because they were either fans of the Hulk or their children were fans of it. And so I always think that's really cool when, actors, whether they love it themselves or they're doing it because it's something their kids enjoy, like that they can just have some kind of connection with it. And then kind of seeing your character as another literary character that can help bring some depth to a role that could otherwise just be like a cartoon, cardboard villain character. And he's not really a villain, he's more of an antagonist. There's a difference, obviously, literarily.
Let's see. Janine loves the rain scene. That's fair. I enjoyed it as well. It was well done. Hulk in the rain looked really good. Let's see. Tom thinks that Betty could come back as Harpy or Red She-Hulk. That'd be cool. I love when they do takes like that because the fact that like our Ant-Man isn't Hank Pym, it's Scott Lang. I would love it if they kind of did modifications on things like that. There's so much, even if they didn't bring...
There is so much that they can do. There's a wealth of characters from the Marvel Comics universe, and then the cinematic universe is doing its own takes on those things. Because when you look at Civil War, it's definitely not the same Civil War that happened in the book.
Yep.
It's a totally different situation. The Spider-Man in our MCU is much younger than the Spider-Man who's been working as that character.
He's been a character forever.
Yeah, and then he's been in that role for like in the life cycle of that comic, like 15 years?
Something like that.
And then our Peter Parker is literally 15. So
let's see. Billy brings up that Jane didn't have much to do in Thor. I think she had plenty to do in Dark World. The stuff she helped design helped save the day. But in general, that's less on the character and more on the writers. And that's more of my issue with Betty, is Betty's literally there to make sure Hulk doesn't Hulk out too much. And that's a problem because she could be more.
But I liked that they brought Thunderbolt Ross back in Civil War, and he even makes that comment about
which is
Hulk.
Exactly what Randall says as well.
Yeah, with Hulk, it's like, oh yeah, where's Hulk?
Have you heard from Banner or Thor? If I lost a 50-ton megaton nuclear bomb, I know I'd be concerned about it.
Yes.
Nolan and Ross both love. Nolan and Billy both love Ross's mustache.
It's a pretty great mustache.
With Nolan saying his mustache is so Merca.
It would have been funny if they apparently the stranger from The Big Lebowski played Ross in the 2003 Hulk. So I mean, if they had brought him back,
I don't know. I love Sam Neill or Sam Elliott.
Yeah, Sam Elliott.
Because Sam Neill was in Ragnarok. But I love Sam Elliott. But I like
William Hurt better in this role.
There's like intensity behind it. Like I can't look at Sam Elliott and think like you're hardcore because the last like the three roles I think of is like The Big Lebowski and I think of Parks and Rec where he's other Ron.
Oh yeah,
Zen Ron.
Yeah, that was weird.
And Tom wants them to do the full storyline. Yeah, I would love that. I would love Red Hulk, and William Hurt could do it so well. I would love Red Hulk.
And then, of course, going back to Blonsky, we see that he is being injected with what I'm pretty sure is the super serum, or like a approximation of the
their kind of take on it.
Yeah, because they had to obviously like recreate it because they lost it, and so this hasn't been like well tested. So that's why he, when he gets the gamma radiation like Hulk did, his body reacts differently because even the doctor says, like, you already have something in you. I can tell that you're already enhanced, and this is why this could be a bad idea. But I'm still willing to do this
because science.
But yeah, he's getting jacked up. So that he can try to go toe to toe with the Hulk.
I love oh crap, the actor's name is escaping me. Tim Roth. I love Tim Roth so much, and most stuff he does that I've seen him in, he's such a interesting actor, and he does this character so well. My favorite scene in this movie is when he gets just torso kicked across a courtyard.
Yeah,
because it's just
and that's. Yeah, well, they have to hospitalize him, and so yeah. And then, of course, we have some little things. This is the only Phase 1 movie that doesn't actually have Nick Fury in it, but we do see in the opening credits that we have a communique from Nick Fury. There's also a lot of other S.H.I.E.L.D. references as well. S.H.I.E.L.D. is spying on them, and they're intercepting.
I think it's mentioned a couple of times.
And of course they don't call it S.H.I.E.L.D., but I think they just...
They do. They call it S.H.I.E.L.D.
They say S.H.I.E.L.D. directly? Yeah. I thought they did the whole acronym.
No, they call it S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay. Now, like, subject is threat level red, surveillance only. The Bruce Banner manhunt is still not over. This shadowy figure... something. And then we see Stark Industries Tech is building some things to counteract this Hulk with this like sound wave generating cannon sound. I don't know, like pulse cannon. I don't know what you would call it.
I imagine it's like a sonic gun.
Yeah, sonic gun
which we see miniaturized in Civil War at some point because War Machine has one on his suit that he uses to stop Scarlet Witch.
And so that was really the only effective weapon because like they shoot at Hulk and like the bullets like barely even dent his skin.
Just making him more angry.
Yes, which is the worst. Speaking of Stark, we don't really get an end credits in this. We get the plot is over, and then here is Thunderbolt Ross drinking the Incredible Hulk drink in the bar, and look who shows up, a Tony. Yep. Talking about his this new initiative that he just heard about himself, the Avengers Initiative.
Yeah.
He's putting a team together, and it's like, well, why are you talking to him? Is he going to help you get the Hulk? Like, he doesn't even know where he is.
No, man. Ross is going to be like, cool, I'll do all this chemical and science stuff, and I'll be the Red Hulk for your Avengers.
Yeah.
I would love that.
I don't know, but it's just, this is their equivalent of the after credit scene. Not in the actual after credits.
Tom brings up that those sonic cannons are real. They use them for riots. Yeah, I know they do. I don't think they have kind of the Air Force, so to speak, because it looked like not only was the sonic like giving Hulk problems, but it was pushing him back. And yeah.
And then our Stan Lee cameo. He is the unfortunate person that drinks the hulked out guarana soda and gets gamma radiation poisoning. So we're not exactly sure like how that impacted him, but we do know.
Him the Watcher.
Really? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. But
he's
awesome.
Always the Watcher. So yeah, this is our little cameo, and there are no post-credits. This is the only film that has that distinction.
It's like a pre-credit, but it's like after everything else is already done.
Yeah, and we just talked about that. So yeah, this is like, it kind of made me sad. It's like, wait, there's nothing else? But this is a Marvel movie. What are you doing?
Right?
This is why the Hulk is the least memorable movie, because there's no after credits.
Cal over here pushing the various To Kill a Mockingbird ideas.
Well, before we move on to talking about all the numbers, so what is Cal trying to get us to do?
To Kill a Mockingbird 2-man show.
Oh, well, you know how much I love To Kill. But now we're getting into Romeo and Juliet season at school, so
we're not doing that.
I'm going to be talking all about Romeo and Juliet memes now.
Let's see. Reservoir Dogs is Billy's favorite Tim Roth movie. That's fair. I really enjoy his part in Pulp Fiction.
I like that Lie to Me show. Really good.
Was that him in Twin Peaks as one of the two assassins?
Oh, I don't remember. That's
Cal, Tom, Kimber.
Somebody smarter than us that watched Twin Peaks.
The most recent Twin Peaks.
I want to say, I don't know. Was
If it wasn't, it was like a Tim Roth lookalike.
Yeah, it was like, we need someone that looks like Tim Roth because we cannot afford Tim Roth.
Let's see. Yeah, TJ asked, there isn't a post-credit scene. There was not. And Kimber is saying, yes, that was Tim Roth as one of the 2 hitmen hired to kill Dougie.
Nice.
In Twin Peaks, the revival. Tom says, or Kimber says, it was Tom Roth. Is that a thing? Or is that with Jennifer Jason Leigh? Nice. Yeah, this is, again, it's a really fantastic movie. There was one thing I noticed that we didn't put in there that we talked about. It's funny that in Ragnarok, Banner talks about, like, we're on a planet that's specifically designed to stress me out. And then you look at where he is in the beginning of the Hulk, and it's kind of like Earth's equivalent of a city like the city in Sakaar, where everything's layered on top of each other. Everything's really colorful and loud and crowded, and
and you don't speak the language. You're just learning. So yeah, that was like one of the first things that stood out to us. Is like, this is like Sakaar. Another thing that I forgot to get a snap of, that there are a couple of original Hulk cameos in this movie.
We probably could have put that with our Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah.
That the original Hulk from the 70s, from the television series,
Lou Ferrigno,
is a security guard, as well as voices the Hulk in the iconic Hulk smash line, utilized when he's fighting the Abomination, which that clap putting out that fire on the helicopter was so cool. But
clap your fires away.
A cameo I wasn't expecting that was really cool. The pizza place that Bruce stays at for a little bit. I can't remember the character's name, but the actor that plays him played Peter Parker in the 1960s/70s/ whenever it came out television series of The Amazing Spider-Man, way back in the day. So that was a cool little throwback to the 70s era of Marvel television.
And there was another cameo, I can't remember exactly which point, but they're watching some movie, and the guy that played Bruce Banner from the 1978 Hulk, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He passed away. Michael Landon, that sounds wrong.
No, that is totally not him.
A different person that died.
TJ Dex brings up Martin Starr playing.
I forgot to get that.
Computer nerd is what he is credited as.
Yes.
I like to pretend it's the same character. I know it's not.
It's not, but yeah, that's the thing that we notice immediately. Yeah, computer nerd, Martin Starr. It's like, what?
He's just like pizza.
But yeah, I want to pretend that that's what he did before he lost all those kids on the field trip, and then
he's teaching high school.
And now he's teaching high school. But no, the original Hulk or not the Hulk, but because in the
guy who played Bruce Banner.
Yeah, because it was 2 different actors. So yeah, Bruce Banner and then Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk. The original Bruce Banner, they show like a movie that he's in, and so that's how they kind of got that cameo, because that actor has
Bill Bixby.
Yes, that is totally correct. I couldn't remember. I was like, I don't know why. I was like, Michael Landon. No, that's like from the Little House on the Prairie, a different 70s show.
Yep.
So many 70s shows.
So now to Cal's favorite part.
All right, so in our little phase chart, which we will get ever so closer to filling in next week, I think we'll finish off phase 3 and almost phase 2.
Tom corrected me as David Banner on the original TV series. That is true.
That's true. Yeah, They changed. There was some kind of rights issue. So Hulk did spend 1 week at #1 at the box office, which again, that did surprise me.
Not like in this movie's bad, that's surprising, but it had a lot going up against it.
Yeah, with the original
the Ang Lee Hulk.
The Ang Lee kind of left a bad taste in a lot of fans' mouths.
Interesting.
So yeah, Black Panther is still the all-time record holder for #1 at the box office for 5 straight weeks. It is currently in 4th place at the box office.
You know what? After 5 weeks, that's okay.
Yes, and then I added the Incredible Hulk's information to our number crunch. Again, it is the lowest grossing worldwide out of all of the MCU movies. It even grossed lower than Captain America, the First Avenger. And I want to say that probably has a lot to do with the fact that Ang Lee Hulk existed first. a lot of people didn't understand what was going on, what they were doing. So I already saw this movie. Why do I have to see it again? Or I saw that movie and I didn't like it. I'm not going to go see this one.
Yeah, there's probably various reasons that the generalized movie-going populace didn't go see it. There's plenty of great movies that don't do well in the box
this
office.
was definitely before the MCU was totally established, and the way that the movies themselves were, events that everybody like buys tickets for in advance, goes to early screenings, pop culture, and all of the zeitgeist, all of the news shows. So I think this definitely suffered the worst, obviously, from box office, but definitely word of mouth because of the confusion.
Mm-hmm.
We have this previous movie. I don't get what's going on. What is all of this? Why do we need another Hulk movie?
Yep.
Because that's often the thing that people even today say, like, why do we need another Spider-Man? We already had Spider-Man. Or why do we need another Batman? We already had that.
Yeah.
Or please don't kill any characters because I love Captain America.
Tom brings up a bit of trivia as to why it was David Banner and not Bruce. That Bruce was deemed to be too gay of a name by the execs of the time.
Really?
Late 70s and all.
I wish it was just a rights issue. Man, I hate the 70s sometimes, even though it wasn't alive then.
Yeah.
And then just kind of a little update on Black Panther's worldwide box office. It is currently at $1.3 billion worldwide. 600 million of that is in the United States alone. And then the other portion of that worldwide, it is currently the number one movie for 2008 in America, and I'm not sure if it's number one worldwide still. I have to go look at that worldwide box office chart, but I know a lot of the worldwide box office chart has a lot of Chinese films on it because they have a huge booming movie industry in China. So Black Panther is still going strong. So happy about that. I love that movie. I thought it was wonderful. I wish it were on video already so I could show it to my class, but sadly it is not. And I don't think it'll be out on video later this month before Infinity War.
Which is kind of weird to me.
So if you want to rewatch it, I guess you just have to go
find a theater that's still playing it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are some. It's a popular movie, so.
Yep.
All right, and that is all of our charting information. Obviously, we can see that critically and audience score for Rotten Tomatoes, for what it's worth, they're about pretty balanced with each other. Not the greatest scores, but still fresh scores. So
yeah. I mean, and again, as we use Rotten Tomatoes, we keep bringing it up mostly because it's a
metric.
It's a metric. It is one tool to look at all of these things. But yeah, overall, so now we've reached the end of our situation with the Hulk. What do you feel overall?
Just sitting and talking about it with you a little more, it kind of endeared me a little more to it. I was kind of surprised. I was not looking forward to watching this one again. I kind of felt like once was enough whenever Avengers came out, just to kind of get familiar with all the characters. But I really enjoyed the rewatch. I was surprised by how well it looked CGI-wise, because of course Hulk and Abomination are CGI characters.
And this movie is now going to be 10 years old this year.
Exactly. And so I was very pleasantly surprised that it still looked really good, because there are movies that are coming out now that don't look as good as what those characters do. And just kind of looking at all the little things, the care that went into making the movie, it kind of, made me appreciate it a little more than I had anticipated. So I'm kind of glad that we saved this one for, the not last, but, after we had done all these other great movies as well. There's a little bit something to appreciate, as I know people always often say, phase one, I gotta get through this. I think there's a lot of great movies in the first phase.
Yep.
I think sometimes, I really like Iron Man still. I think it's better than the others in the different phases for its trilogy. And I really like the first Avenger. It's a fine movie.
It is. We talked about this yesterday, and we can't really retroactively add this to our Captain America review. I actually think that Civil War, as good as Civil War is, is possibly the weakest of the Captain America trilogy.
I think I said that originally.
Yeah, I know. I said we were talking about it last night, and I'm like, yeah, I can. I think we were both kind of at the same time talking about it yesterday, but I'm pretty sure you've said that in the past as well and such. Tom is saying the sun's getting real low.
Sun's getting real low.
Sun's getting low. Sun's getting real low. Sun's getting low. Sun's getting low. You stop that.
I hope you're stronger than you look. Or what did she say in Ragnarok? Tougher than you look. Yeah, because, Bruce Banner.
I feel like I know you. I think I know you too. It's really weird. So we're talking about Ragnarok again because it's another appearance of the Hulk, and we're probably going to end up watching that when we're done with this. But
because why not? Oh, and then here comes a bee.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Please share the video with your friends. Next week, we go galactic with Guardians of the Galaxy.
1 and 2 volume. 1 and 2. You gotta say volume, otherwise it's wrong.
Yep. And we're gonna explore daddy issues, basically.
Oh Lord, why did you have to say it that way?
Because that's what that movie is.
Well, the second one.
Both of them. Because Gamora's got issues with her dad.
Oh, that's true. So yeah, we'll be back same time. Same Bat channel, even though this is not a DC review. Those of you that get that reference, you also watched a lot of old Batman as well.
Hello, Beatrice.
This is Beatrice. She hulks out a lot as her tail goes into my mouth. Gross.
So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week. Next
Monday.
We are now 2 episodes away from our review for Infinity War because we are now 18 days away from Infinity War.
Wow. I can't believe it. It's going to be here soon. I'm so excited. It's like Christmas. I know there's a lot of people who are like, I'm not excited about Infinity War, but I am so excited. I love all these movies. If you ever see me at work, which you wouldn't because none of you work with me, but I'm always talking about superhero movies with my students because they like them as well. Some of them don't like Marvel, but they like DC.
Which is all well and good.
Exactly. We talk about how there's good and bad in both, and I'm always using superhero stuff as examples. So I'm so excited to be talking about these things, even though I'm not the biggest reader of all of the comics because I didn't grow up being able to afford those kind of things. I still really love these movies. I think this is probably one of my favorite blockbuster genres is the superhero genre. And I'll watch all the superhero movies. I don't care.
It's fair. We'll see them all. I'm excited to go see Aquaman when it comes out.
Yeah, I'll go see that. I love
Jason Momoa.
I'll go see all of them.
So, anywho, thank you for joining us. I'm gonna end this now because again, as part of our trademark, we are really terrible.
That's what I was telling my coworker earlier, that we're bad at goodbyes because we just want to keep talking forever and ever and ever. So 1,000 times good night. You know what that reference is to, if you've read Shakespeare.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Bye.